Think about it, space, the final frontier, as they say. For decades, it was a place of fierce competition, then a place of tentative, remarkable cooperation. The International Space Station, the ISS, became a symbol. Astronauts from different nations working together, living together, orbiting our beautiful blue marble. It was a testament to what humanity could achieve when we looked past our terrestrial squabbles. A shining beacon of collaboration, a high-flying laboratory where borders seemed to dissolve in the vacuum of space, fostering a unique sense of global scientific community. This orbital outpost represented a peaceful use of what was once a Cold War battleground. Then came 2011, a year that might be a footnote in many history books, but in the history of space exploration it was a pivotal moment. The United States Congress made a decision. A law was passed. It effectively banned NASA, the American Space Agency, from engaging in bilateral cooperation with China. Chinese astronauts, Chinese scientists were barred from the ISS. Think about that, a global project with one of the world's rising powers explicitly excluded. This wasn't just a minor policy tweak, it was a geopolitical statement echoing through the halls of science and into the void itself. The reasons given were concerns about national security, worries about technology transfer, legitimate concerns, perhaps, in the complex dance of international relations. But the universe doesn't much care for our earthly politics. The stars don't align based on congressional votes. This decision, intended to safeguard American interests, had an unintended consequence. It didn't stop China's ambition to reach for the stars, oh no. It simply set China on a different path, a more independent path, a path that is now reshaping the celestial landscape in ways we are only beginning to understand. Imagine a grand cosmic party. Everyone's invited to this amazing orbital gathering. Then one guest who's been eagerly preparing is told they can't come in. What do? They might go home disappointed. Or they might decide to build their own even grander party venue. China chose the latter. The 2011 decision didn't just close a door, it opened another one, leading to a future where multiple space stations and multiple alliances might become the norm. A future that looks very different from the one envisioned when the ISS first lit up the sky. So, the door to the ISS was closed to China. Did they pack up their telescopes and go home? Far from it. China looked at the stars and said, fine, we'll build our own way there. And that's precisely what they did. This wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction. It was the acceleration of a long-term, meticulously planned strategy. China had been dreaming of space for centuries, with ancient legends of flight and rockets. Now, modern ambition met national resolve. The exclusion became a powerful catalyst, galvanizing resources and focusing national pride on achieving independent space capabilities. The centerpiece of this independent ambition, the Tiangong Space Station Heavenly Palace, a rather poetic name, don't you think? Module by module, rocket by rocket, China constructed its own orbital outpost. It's a remarkable feat of engineering, a testament to their growing technological prowess. While smaller than the ISS, Tiangong is fully functional. It's a state-of-the-art laboratory in orbit designed for long-duration astronaut stays and a wide array of scientific experiments. It's a clear statement. China is not just a visitor in space, it's a permanent resident. Its presence is a constant reminder of their independent capabilities. But a space station is just one piece of the puzzle. You need rockets to get there. You need satellites for communication, for observation, for navigation. China has been systematically building up all this infrastructure. Their Long March rocket family has become increasingly reliable and capable, launching taikonauts, space station modules, and sophisticated probes. They've developed their own global navigation system, Beidou, as an alternative to GPS. This comprehensive approach means they are not reliant on any other nation for access to space or for critical space-based services. It's a full-spectrum capability. This self-reliance is a powerful strategic asset. It gives China autonomy, it gives them control over their own space destiny. While cooperation has its merits, and we'll talk about that, The ability to go it alone when necessary is a game changer. It meant that when the world watched the construction of Tiangong, they weren't just seeing a new space station. They were seeing the rise of a space power that had overcome exclusion to forge its own path, demonstrating resilience and a formidable capacity for independent innovation in the most challenging environment known to humanity. Now, building your own space station is impressive, but China didn't stop there. Once Tiangong was up and running, once their independent capabilities were clear, something fascinating started to happen. China began to extend invitations. Remember that party they weren't invited to? They were now hosting their own, and the guest list was looking very different. Countries that perhaps felt overlooked by traditional space powers, or those seeking alternative partnerships, started to look towards Beijing. A new web of space alliances began to form, quietly but steadily. Who's joining this new cosmic club? It's a diverse group. Nations from Asia, Africa, South America, and even some European countries have expressed interest or signed cooperation agreements. Pakistan has a long-standing space cooperation with China, with astronauts slated to visit Tiangong. Russia, facing its own set of geopolitical challenges and restrictions from the West, has found a willing partner in China for ambitious lunar projects. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are also collaborating, bringing their growing space ambitions and resources into the fold. These aren't just token gestures, they involve tangible commitments. These alliances cover a wide range of activities. Joint scientific experiments aboard Tiangong, training for astronauts from partner nations, sharing of satellite data, development of common technical standards. It's a comprehensive approach to space cooperation designed to be attractive to countries that might not have the resources to mount their own independent space programs, but are eager to participate in the exploration and utilization of space. China is positioning itself not just as a space power, but as a facilitator of space access for others. This creates a network of dependencies and mutual interests. The implications are significant. For decades, the US and its traditional allies, along with Russia, largely set the agenda in space. Now, a new bloc is emerging, with China at its center. This isn't just about sharing technology, it's about building influence. It's about creating alternative pathways for space exploration and utilization, independent of the established Western-led frameworks. It's a strategic realignment playing out hundreds of kilometers above our heads, reflecting the shifting tectonic plates of global power down on Earth. The cosmos is becoming a more crowded and more complex diplomatic arena. Let's talk about the Moon, our lovely, desolate, cratered companion. For a long time after the Apollo missions, it felt like we'd been there, done that. But the Moon is back in vogue, and China is leading a major new charge with its ambitious Chang'e lunar exploration program. Named after the Chinese moon goddess, these missions have been methodically exploring our celestial neighbor, achieving a string of remarkable firsts, including the first soft landing on the far side of the Moon. Each mission builds upon the last, revealing a patient, long-term vision. The upcoming Chang'e 8 mission, planned for around 2028, is particularly interesting. It's not just a Chinese mission, it's designed as a platform for international collaboration, focusing on in-situ resource utilization. Think 3D printing with lunar soil, testing technologies for building a sustainable lunar base. China has explicitly invited international partners to contribute instruments and experiments to Chang'e 8. This is a smart move. It allows other nations to participate in cutting-edge lunar science without the massive cost of developing their own landers and rovers. Several countries and organizations have already shown keen interest or are officially on board. Russia is a key partner with plans for a joint international lunar research station, ILRS. But it's not just Russia. Countries like Thailand, Pakistan, and organizations such as the Asia-Pacific Space Cooperation Organization, APSCO, are involved. This approach allows China to share the burden, gain access to diverse expertise, and build goodwill. It positions the ILRS as a global alternative to other lunar exploration frameworks, fostering a sense of shared enterprise among its participants. This model of shared missions, especially for complex endeavors like establishing a lunar presence, is incredibly appealing. It's a pragmatic way to pool resources and expertise. It also subtly weaves partner nations into China's technological ecosystem. By offering rides to the moon, by providing platforms for international experiments, China is not just exploring space, it's building a coalition. It's creating a framework where its standards, its technologies, and its vision for lunar development become central, potentially shaping the future of humanity's presence beyond Earth. The moon is becoming a new stage for this cosmic diplomacy. Section 5, the orbital Silk Road expanding influence beyond Earth. You've probably heard of China's Belt and Road Initiative, that massive global infrastructure project building roads, ports and railways across continents. Well, imagine that concept, but extended into space. That's the essence of what some are calling the orbital Belt and Road, or the Space Silk Road. It's about leveraging China's growing space capabilities, its satellites, its launch services, its ground stations, to build partnerships and dependencies around the world, extending its influence into the heavens and back down to Earth. It's a grand vision, connecting nations through space-based infrastructure. What does this look like in practice? It involves China offering satellite services, communications, remote sensing, weather forecasting, navigation to other countries, particularly those in the developing world. Many nations lack the resources to build and launch their own satellites. China steps in, offering a package deal. We'll build your satellite, we'll launch it for you, maybe even help you operate it. This is incredibly attractive for countries eager to reap the benefits of space technology for their economic development and national security. It's a tangible benefit that China can provide. This orbital Silk Road also encompasses the Beidou navigation system. While the US has GPS, Russia has GLONASS, and Europe has Galileo, China's Beidou is a global system. China is actively promoting its adoption worldwide, particularly among Belt and Road partner countries. If your country's infrastructure, from logistics to emergency services, relies on Beidou, you become more integrated into China's technological sphere. It's a subtle but powerful way to build influence, fostering reliance on Chinese-provided space services for critical national functions. The long-term implications are vast. It's not just about providing services, it's about setting standards. It's about creating a network of nations that are technologically aligned with China in the space domain. This can translate into diplomatic support, economic partnerships, and a greater say for China in how space is used and governed globally. The orbital Belt and Road is a sophisticated strategy, using space as a tool for terrestrial influence, weaving a tapestry of connections that strengthen China's position as a central node in a new global order, both on Earth and above it. Section 6, BRICS, in the sky, a new constellation of power. Now let's zoom in on a specific group, BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. And now with its recent expansion, including countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. This is a bloc of major emerging economies increasingly seeking to assert their collective influence on the world stage, offering an alternative to traditional Western-led global governance structures. And guess what? Space is a key area where this ambition is taking flight. They understand that space capabilities are intrinsically linked to economic development and strategic autonomy. One of the most significant developments is the BRICS remote sensing satellite constellation. This isn't just one country's project, it's a collaborative effort. Each member nation contributes satellites to form a shared constellation. The data gathered on climate change, environmental disasters, agriculture, resource management is shared among the member states. This is a practical application of space technology for mutual benefit, strengthening the bonds between these diverse nations through a common, high-tech endeavor that serves their collective developmental goals. Why is this satellite constellation so strategically important? First, it enhances the collective self-sufficiency of the BRICS nations in an area critical for modern governance and economic planning. They become less reliant on data provided by, say, American or European satellites. Second, it fosters technological cooperation and interoperability among them. They learn to work together, to share expertise, to build common systems. This deepens their partnership beyond just political statements, creating tangible technological interdependencies. It's a powerful symbol of their growing alignment. Moreover, the BRICS constellation represents a non-Western framework for space cooperation. It demonstrates that significant space projects can be undertaken outside the traditional US or European-led spheres. This challenges the existing paradigms of space governance and shows that alternative models are viable. As BRICS expands and its space cooperation deepens, It could become a significant pole in a multipolar space order, influencing how data is shared, how standards are set, and how the benefits of space are distributed globally. It's another layer in the evolving cosmic chess game. Section 7, An Eagle's Unease, Why America Watches with Concern. So China is building its own space station, forging new alliances, launching ambitious lunar missions, and even creating new satellite constellations with partners like BRICS. How does the United States, the long-reigning champion of space exploration, view all this? Well, with a fair bit of unease, and perhaps a touch of cosmic anxiety. The view from Washington is complex, a mixture of acknowledging China's achievements and worrying about the strategic implications. The rapid ascent of a capable peer competitor in a domain once dominated by American prowess naturally raises alarms. One major concern is military. Space is, and always has been, a dual-use domain. Technologies developed for civilian space exploration, powerful rockets, sophisticated satellites, global navigation systems, can also have military applications. The US military relies heavily on its space assets for communication, intelligence, surveillance, and precision targeting. The prospect of China developing capabilities that could challenge or disrupt these assets is a serious worry for defense planners. This includes anti-satellite weapons, cyber capabilities, and advanced reconnaissance systems. Then there's the economic and technological competition. Space is a burgeoning industry with vast potential for commercial activities, from satellite internet to asteroid mining. The US has traditionally been at the forefront of space innovation and commerce. China's rapid advancements, often backed by significant state investment, pose a challenge to this leadership. Concerns exist about intellectual property, fair competition, and the possibility of China setting de facto technological standards that could disadvantage American companies in the future global space economy. The race for technological supremacy extends far beyond Earth. Finally, there's the issue of global influence and space governance. The US and its allies have largely shaped the norms and rules of behavior in space. China's growing network of space partners, its promotion of alternative platforms like the ILRS and the BRICS constellation, suggest a desire to reshape these governance structures. Washington worries that China might use its growing space power to create a sphere of influence that operates under different rules, potentially undermining the existing international order in space and creating new geopolitical fault lines among the stars. Section 8. Partnership or Dominance, Unpacking China's Space Diplomacy. This brings us to a crucial question, a cosmic conundrum, if you will. When China extends its hand for space cooperation, when it invites nations to join its lunar missions or use its space station, is this an offer of genuine partnership? Or is it a carefully crafted strategy for eventual dominance, a velvet glove hiding an iron fist aimed at controlling the high frontier? The truth, as it often is in the complex affairs of nations, is likely nuanced. It's probably not a simple either-or. There are elements of both collaboration and calculated self-interest at play. On one hand, China's approach offers tangible benefits to many developing nations. Access to space is expensive. Building indigenous launch capabilities, satellites and research facilities is beyond the reach of most countries. China provides a pathway. By offering training, sharing data, and including international experiments on its missions, it genuinely fosters scientific advancement and capacity building in partner states. This can be seen as a form of space diplomacy that democratizes access to the cosmos, allowing more of humanity to participate in this grand adventure. However, it's also undeniable that these partnerships serve China's strategic interests. By bringing countries into its space ecosystem, China expands its technological influence. It creates dependencies. Nations that rely on Chinese launch services, Chinese navigation systems like Beidou, or Chinese-led research platforms like the ILRS, are naturally more inclined to align with China's broader geopolitical agenda. The standards set by China in these collaborations could become the default for a significant portion of the world, giving Beijing a powerful say in future space development. The key lies in the terms of these partnerships and the long-term vision. True cooperation implies mutual respect, transparency, and equitable sharing of benefits and decision-making. If China's model evolves into one where it dictates terms, prioritizes its own scientific and strategic goals overwhelmingly, or uses access as a lever for political compliance, then concerns about dominance will be justified. The international community is watching closely to see whether China's space diplomacy will lead to a more inclusive cosmic future or a new form of celestial hegemony, a new center of power dictating the rules of the road. Section 9, the next frontier shaping space governance in a multipolar cosmos. So where does all this leave us? We stand at a fascinating and perhaps a little daunting crossroads in the human exploration of space. The old order, largely defined by US-Soviet rivalry and then US-led international cooperation, is clearly evolving. China's rise as a major independent space power with its own network of alliances is fundamentally reshaping the landscape. We are entering a multipolar era in space with multiple significant actors and competing visions for how we should explore, utilize, and govern this ultimate frontier. The existing frameworks for space governance, like the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, were drafted in a different era. They provide foundational principles: space as the province of all mankind, no national appropriation by claim of sovereignty. But they lack the detailed mechanisms to manage the complexities of today. Commercial spaceflight, resource extraction on the moon and asteroids, debris mitigation, and the potential for conflict in space. How do we adapt these rules or create new ones in a world with multiple space stations and rival lunar ambitions? This is the challenge ahead. China's approach, with its orbital belt and road and its alternative platforms like the ILRS, will inevitably challenge the US and its allies to rethink their own strategies for international cooperation and space governance. Will we see competing blocs solidify, each with its own set of rules and preferred partners? Or can we find common ground, establishing universal norms that ensure space remains peaceful, sustainable, and accessible to all, regardless of which party they attended back on Earth? The answer to this will define our future in the cosmos. Ultimately, the stars don't belong to any one nation. They beckon all of us. The choices we make in the coming years about how we cooperate, how we compete, and how we manage our shared celestial heritage will have profound implications for generations to come. China's new space alliance is a wake-up call. It signals a new chapter in our cosmic journey, a chapter that demands fresh thinking, robust diplomacy, and a renewed commitment to the idea that space, for all its challenges, should be a place that unites us, not divides us further. The universe is vast. Surely there's room for all our dreams.